This is who I am. I'm a fighter at heart. I'll never quit it.
He gave me, of course, hard time, but I am happy I finish him.
Dustin Poirier is widely regarded by MMA fans as one of the best lightweights of all time and a future Hall of Famers in the sport. Same way. Here's what UFC fighters think about Dustin Poirier. Starting off with Poirier's most recent opponent, Islam Makhachev, who believes the Diamond is still one of the best fighters in the world, even though the Diamond thinks it's time to retire.
Honestly, it's a very good fight, but I don't like when you have the cut. Everything is pain now. Tomorrow I think it's gonna be more pain. But Dustin is a dog, you know. He will bite, kick, punch. Happy to finish him. But this guy, one of the best, still one of the best in the world.
In the UFC 302 title fight, Makhachev was pushed to his absolute limit. He was bruised, battered, as well as bloodied. Poirier showed a ton of improvements in his takedown defense, in particular, that impressed UFC President Dana White.
And I thought that Poirier did an unbelievable job of stuffing takedowns and getting up when he was in nasty positions, staying out of that submission in the first round. Just, you couldn't ask more for a main event title fight.
Poirier has fought for the UFC lightweight title 3 times, and he faced defeat in each of his 3 fights. His first shot came against Makhachev's best friend, Khabib Nurmagomedov, at UFC 242, where the Eagle dominated the Diamond and choked him out in the 3rd round. Although Poirier gave Khabib a real scare with a guillotine, Khabib later admitted that his foe was tough as nails.
Dustin Poirier is one of the best in the world. He's not just champion on state or champion country, one of the best in the world. You know. Of course, I expect it's gonna be a tough match. It's gonna be a tough opponent, and it was a great match, I think.
Michael Chandler is a guy who's faced the who's who of the UFC lightweight division in his brief career in the promotion. He's fought Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, and out of all those fighters, Iron Mike believes Poirier is the most polished, especially in comparison to Gaethje.
Violent, and I think they even get better as the violence starts to increase, you know? I will say this, I would say from a tactical standpoint, Dustin Poirier is a more polished, more veteran thinking fighter than Gaethje, whether it be his processing inside there and he's able to navigate and negotiate distances, when to hold. But you know, when I got Poirier up against the cage and I hit him with like 20 punches, he was completely cool doing the rope-a-dope, right? That's a veteran move. I'm not doing that. I don't think Gaethje would really do that either. I think Gaethje would just slug and try to move and slug.
When asked who was the heaviest hitter he ever faced, Chandler, who's also fought Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje, was quick to take Poirier's name. Now, out of all of Poirier's opponents, there's nobody quite like the notorious one, Conor McGregor, who was an unstoppable force when he faced Dustin Poirier for the first time in 2014, when he knocked him out cold after weeks of intense trash talking.
Tomorrow night, I'm gonna make this man pay with his life, and I mean it. You're dead in that octagon tomorrow night.
7 years later, at UFC 257, they had a rematch where McGregor adopted a much nicer approach.
I know Dustin's a hell of a competitor. I know there's questions here. He's heavier. He's up on a different weight, but he's more experienced. I feel I can do it.
It felt like McGregor had finally become older and wiser, as he candidly expressed just how good of a fighter Poirier was. But since the nice guy approach saw him get knocked out, we were back to square one, heading into the trilogy at UFC 264.
I don't give a fuck about him, to be honest. It's just how I am. He's a corpse, a dead body.
McGregor is probably the only guy who has anything bad to say about Poirier, who's not just an absolute dog of a fighter, but also a family man who is well respected by everyone in the MMA community as a great role model. Poirier's teammate and 2-time Olympic gold medalist, Kayla Harrison, says the UFC fighter is a leader.
Yeah, he's a leader. He's a leader on the mat and off the mat. You know, the way he handles himself, the way he carries himself. He's humble. He's hungry. He's, gracious in victory and defeat. I think that he's done a really good job of just handling this business in the way that MMA, the fight business is an ugly game, and it can really take a piece of you, and it can change you, and it can turn you into someone you're not proud of. But he didn't allow that to happen. You know, he's a family man through and through. He's a giving man. He has a foundation. He has all of these things that he uses to channel everything and find a way to give back to his community. So he takes his platform and he uses it to do the most good. And I think that's, to me, that's what being a fighter, that's what being an athlete, that's what being a role model is all about. So
Poirier is truly a legend, who's fought the who's who of the UFC lightweight and featherweight divisions, and his record is way more decorated than any other lightweight on the planet, including reigning champion Islam Makhachev, according to Michael Bisping.
When you look at Poirier, I mean,
it's a Shark Tank.
It's insane. Hold on, I'm just trying to bring it up here. You got Max Holloway multiple times, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Anthony Pettis, Conor McGregor 3 times, Jim Miller, Dan Hooker, Oliveira, Chandler, Gaethje again, Benoit Saint-Denis.
That's tough.
In terms of experience, he's fought the tougher guys.
Poirier is not just loved by the MMA community, but by the combat sports community as a whole, and the way he carries himself in victory, and especially in defeat, is inspiring, according to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who said this after Poirier's loss to Gaethje at UFC 291. I love his perspective. There are so many life lessons that we can pass on to our little ones. Whatever it is that you sign up for, make sure you absolutely love it, because anything can happen, and it does. Love this dude. Massive respect to Dustin Poirier. Johnson's arch rival, Bill Goldberg, also had nice things to say about Poirier, and he's proud of the man he's become since their sparring session in 2015.
Dustin Poirier.
You know, man, I tell you, all I can do is smile when I see the road that he has traveled and where he has ended up. I mean, as I said in my post, it could not happen to a better guy. And the post that I put out there, don't misunderstand the post by any stretch of the imagination. It had nothing to do with me. The point I wanted to get across was that he was such a humble guy at that point. I was there kind of training with King Mo, and Dustin was holding pads for us. Didn't complain, works his ass off, keeps his mouth shut, but has the work ethic of a monster.
Work ethic takes you places, doesn't it? Poirier has been to places many fighters can only dream of visiting, and with or without a title, he is an absolute legend of the sport and a future Hall of Famer. He is one of the greatest lightweights of all time and probably the greatest fighter to never win a belt. So is it really an ideal time to retire for him? Following his loss to Islam Makhachev at UFC 302, he said he'd like to retire, although nothing's confirmed. Daniel Cormier believes he shouldn't retire because he's still good enough to beat the best fighters in the world.
I don't want to see him go. I don't know that he should go. I think that what Dustin Poirier should do is take the big fights. He's only 35 years old, so he can do this for a long time. Maybe don't fight as frequently, but continue to make that walk, because once you're done and you can't come back from it.
Think about retiring?
He fought as good in losing as he's fought in a really long time. And I think that he was better tonight than he was against Benoit Saint-Denis. And that's a credit to him and his coaching staff. I thought he fought well. You know, clearly you lose just from disappointment. But overall, I think Dustin Poirier is going to be very proud of his performance in the octagon.
Even Makhachev's best friend and coach Khabib admitted that Poirier gave the reigning champion a dogfight.
Last one for me on that. We saw you and Khabib kind of hug it out too in both the octagon and back here. What words did he have to say for you?
I think he said I'm a legend, I'm a great fighter. They have a lot of respect for me.
Knowing Khabib, he doesn't often call someone a legend until he or she actually is. So that settles the debate, doesn't it? Poirier is an absolute legend. End of. Nevertheless, we'd love to hear your thoughts about Dustin Poirier in the comments section below, so make sure you leave a comment. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel as well as turn on those notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.